I'm going to tell you a little bit about the project, but I want to focus today on one chapter that's called The Secret of Selling the Negro, and you'll see why. But basically, it talks a lot about how consumerism itself was racialized and how this comes out of geographic segregation. So, first, can you see this kind of okay? I know the sun is there. All right. What are the streets? I do want to talk a little bit about that. I'm not obviously just talking about physical streets. I might talk about the hood or the ghetto or different kind of words people use interchangeably. I like this term for a number of reasons, partially because Ta-Nehisi Coates, whom I'm assuming many of you have read, almost all of you, yes? Good. If you haven't, add that to your summer reading list. He does a really amazing job of kind of fleshing out and theorizing what the streets are, and I took that as kind of the point of departure for my project. So for me, I'm really spending my time in the book explaining how the streets are not just like a physical place or space, but this socio-cultural construct with its own set of kind of ideologies, of practices, opportunities, limitations, things like that. When I recalled the Baltimore of my youth, it did not seem to suffer from anything so quaint and simple as segregation or white supremacy, terms that conjured colored-only signs, night rides, and thuggish sheriffs with ominous nicknames. Instead, the box represented itself in an abundance of men hanging out on corners, single mothers working night shifts, teen parents in all my high school classes, and kids with ready and easy access to guns. So there's this thing that the streets are that you can't really point your finger at, that kind of are birthed out of geographic segregation, right? But have kind of surpassed that alone. And that's what I spend most of my project really looking at. They also do some really good studies of how this wasn't just in these kind of legal and other means, but there were physical kind of acts of terror that helped secure these borders, right? So in Chicago, you all are familiar with the Southside of Chicago. Yes, we all know culturally what that means. That was created and enforced by bombings, right? So there was like a bombing almost every month for a series of a couple of years to keep black people out of these white neighborhoods, right? And this is part of the history we don't quite talk about. But all that to say that I spend some time on this in the book, but I want to turn to something that I think is less discussed and maybe equally, if not a little more interesting. And that's how home ownership, right, has shifted our perceptions of kind of American belonging and consumerism. So I love this because history, like you can't make up history. It's so great. I'm like, it gives you so much material that you couldn't make it up if I wanted to. So this is before we get to all the kind of official federal housing policies. So in 1919, we have the Own Your Own Home campaign that started. And what happens is you have in everywhere from like offices meant to kind of promote this amongst like middle class people, to factories meant to get kind of working class folks, to school children. They had like buttons and pamphlets they would pass out. There's this massive campaign in the US to get people to buy homes, right? And to link it to American belonging. A lot of this comes out of a fear of communism. Because what happens in 1917? Anybody? Good, right? Everybody's quiet. The Russian Revolution, everyone's scared. They're like, we do not want communism here. We do not want a revolution. How do you get people to really invest in American capitalism? What's the greatest investment you can make here? Buy a home, yeah, property. So, and this was, I'm not just saying this is documents where they're like, people, an investment in a home is an investment in American capitalism, right? Can't make it up, it's wonderful. So, you have ads like this, where you have a man and his manhood, his ability to provide, his nuclear family, his citizenship are all tied to home ownership, right? I'm going to show you this in the pamphlet that this was in. There's this quote that comes next to it that's worth looking at. Sorry, history makes me laugh. So, it should be a matter of personal pride with you to own your own home. Pride in your proved ability to give your family a home of their own. Pride in the ownership of real property, and ownership that places you among the bigger men of your community. A homeowner is a marked man, marked in the letters that can't be missed. Success, right? Your family looks to you to give them a home of their own. They know that there is more happiness and comfort in a home of one's own. Let your children grow up in a real home atmosphere. Give your wife an opportunity to show you that she can be a businesswoman and a loving wife and mother at the same time. Own your own home, right? So this is how they try to convince people.